Hello, hello. You hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you. Shatia said she had an emergency come up, so she'll be a little late.
How's everybody doing today?
A little sluggish, but I'm here.
Same.
Well, it's a beautiful Sunday, and the term equal finality means that you will all be licensed clinicians. It's different routes, but all at the same time. So we will all be there. What do we study this week?
Groups, and I reviewed family stuff still.
Edna, I don't know if you've talked to the group or do you want to ask questions, share things?
In regard to group,
Any questions you want to ask? Just in general?
more than anything, it's really just making sure that I remember forming, storming, norming, making sure that I understand that when a person can kind of call out the leader, or when two people can get into an argument, like two people in the group can get into an argument or call each other out when it's storming and when it's working. The storming phase and the working phase, or the performing, those are the parts that I really need to make sure that I'm confident and certain when it's the storming phase and the norming and performing. Just being very confident in those for Tuckman.
Talk about yeah. We're going to talk about those today and kind of know like the different words of who goes to what. Just any questions before I get started?
I had a question regarding the different leadership, which is a
So
co-leader.
there's not a better kind. It depends on what kind of group it is. And the
Okay.
goal is we do want to at some point all be a laissez-faire leader. The goal of group is we start off really structured, and I come in and I'm going to tell you what to do and how to do. I'm going to come up with the rules before we start. Of course, then the group sets their own norms when it comes to the Tuckman stages. Okay. But remember in Corey, there's no, the first stage is pre-group and there's nobody there. So it's not into his initial stage, there are people there. So it really depends on, there's no better kind. There's the terms, and hold on, I'll get into that more on this as I teach. Anything else, guys, you want to ask? I'll get into that. So I just want to just kind of start. So in general, I adore group. I think group is the best way to go. Always, always, always. Okay. So I think group is, I think it's easier on the therapist. I think it's just easier in life because I don't always have to be the expert. I can always say, well, Barbara, what do you think about what Pam said? Or Sally, what do you think about what's going on? So I think it's a lot easier. As we go through the stages and talk about the stages, it's very similar, I think, of when you started school. So especially your first semester, when you first started school, this is what happens is school, the first day of school, people kind of come in, they're anxious. First 2 weeks, usually, two classes. I'm going over the syllabus. I'm asking the expectations. I'm telling you everything. And you don't even see anybody else in the room. I may have just answered the question 12 times for the same person, but you are focused on me. This is what it feels like. Pan, Dr. Pan. And there was like 20 people in the room. But in that forming stage or the initial stage, you really are just to yourself. You don't even get there's anybody else there. So you're afraid to ask questions, afraid to say things, and you're just really not paying attention and you don't want to embarrass yourself. So now we're going on, and now we get to the second or third or fourth week. And then we begin we call it jockeying for positions. And really what that means is I'm trying to figure out where I belong in this group. So in the classroom, what it looks like, so now we've got the third week of school, and we decide that we want to sit by the hot boy over there, or my teacher's pets that want the front row, or the people that know the plug is in the back. So now you come in and somebody's in your seat. What? That's my seat. That what? That goes on for a couple of weeks. So I get to class, and what I'll see is like people, 10 people lined up at the door waiting to get in because they're trying to get their seat. After a while, it normals off, right? It just kind of gets to, this is my seat. I'm okay with my seat. I begin to make friends with who I'm making friends with. So it ends up then fine. We get to the norming stage. And the norms are the group norms. I've given you the rules. This is what the expectation of the class. But the norms are that, Barbara's always late. Becky's going to bring cookies for everybody. Barbara's going to sit in the back of the room and try to text on her phone. So that's, every group runs their own way. Okay? And then it's over. So it's a matter of knowing then what theorist said what. Okay, so hold on, I have a. So the stages are the same, except they don't you have to remember, I used to just teach one. And I thought, okay, you could just figure the rest of them out. And I found that that's not true. I really have to kind of teach all of them to kind of to understand where each is. So hold on. Your chat box. Okay, so what we see is a great little chart of what it looks like to kind of compare them. So what I know are these are the big people, Tuckman, Corey, and Yala. So Tuckman is the one that most of us have known. That's depending on where you went to school, but that's what I've always taught first. That's how I always process. Forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Remember in the Tuckman stage that there's no pre-orientation, no point where we actually get to decide or screen who's going to be in the group. The American Association of Group Workers said that we should be able to screen. However, Tuckman and Yalom do not. Okay. So forming, storming, norming. I set the rules. Again, we began to storm. Storm is a natural part of any group, whether it's storming, a transition, or called conflict. It's still struggling for power, jockeying for positions. So this is trying to figure out where I belong in the group process. And this happens in real life, not just actually in a formed group setting, but imagine that you're on the jury in a courtroom. It's the same kind of thing. So when you're in a group of stages of people, when it's a process group, this is what you go through. So initial is Corey's second stage, because pre-screening, that's his first stage where there's nobody there though. So that's the first time he sees people is actually his second stage. And sometimes I've seen questions asking about stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's what that means. So norming would not be a stage unless you're asking specifically about Tuckman. So if I had to say what is stage 1, that's formal, initial, or orientation. Stage 2 would be storming, transition, or conflict. Stage 3 would be performing, or then I am working, and then I am still in that power, a cohesive stage, according to Yalom. And then the last stage is it's over. Okay, so yes, you have to know each of them separately, but also just remember when I see those stages, that's what's happening in the stage. So that's so knowing what they say is part of it. Also, just remembering that storming is a normal part of group. We will say that there's so many group questions on the test, and I will agree with you, there's a lot of group questions, but you're not going to find a lot of questions just on the stages. What you find is what would you do? What's the code of ethics? Sometimes it's about, you've got a client in a group and he wants to leave, or you're doing a research group and a client decides that they don't want to be in the group. So a lot of those just aren't necessarily code of ethics and not necessarily groups, but it's very, very helpful when I see questions to know where they're at. Okay, so let me just kind of show you when I talk about why it's important to know where they're at in those stages. Just one second. Okay, we're going to look at this one. Oh, there we go. Oh, trying to clear that and I did not. Okay. So during a group session, a client shares that 7 years ago, he set a building on fire, which resulted in the death of a security guard. It says social worker, but the counselor social worker may do all of the following except. So what I know is, first of all, it's a not question. We got that right. And I know that he set a fire 7 years ago. So I'm trying to figure out, what are they measuring? Are they measuring code of ethics? Are they measuring the stages of group? Like, what are they measuring? Okay. So now, first of all, can I say anything? Can I tell anybody about this fire?
No.
I, as a counselor, cannot. No one is in imminent danger. So I can't say a word. Can I make sure that all the other group members don't say anything?
No.
I cannot do that either. Unless you found a magic wand to make somebody behave. Shoot, okay, I'd have a man. I just go ching, 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 ching. I've asked them to keep things confidential, but I definitely can't make anybody do anything. Okay, so, but I've asked them, we told them the importance of group, but certainly I cannot make any adult do anything. What stage of group do we think that we're in?
Performing.
And if we say performing, tell me why. Why do I think that?
I think simply just because they're starting to open up and work through whatever brought them to this particular group.
Absolutely. So I would say performing, working, or cohesiveness, right? It's all the same stage depending on the leaders. If this were the forming stage or the initial stage, and I sat down next to you and you said, oh, by the way, did I tell you I killed somebody? I don't think you'd sit next to me next week. Right? I'm just saying, right? That you just probably wouldn't sit next to me. So when we get to the stages where we're really close, that's when I drop my guards. That is when I'm going to say, hey, this is what's really going on. So it's an accept question. So an accept question always means that I'm going to start off with what I would do. What is okay to do? So all four, ask group members how they wanted to handle the situation. Ignore the statement because the situation happened 7 years ago. Check out members' feelings or encourage the client to speak to the police. I can't talk to the police, but I can encourage him. I can always say, well, hey, maybe have you thought about turning yourself in? Remember the same thing with HIV. I can't tell, but I can encourage a client to tell his partner. So definitely would do that. Okay. I'm going to check out the members' feelings. If we're in the performing stage, we're tight. It's been 10, 12 weeks. We're sitting next to each other. And all of a sudden we find out that little Bobby's a murderer. How you know this? He was bringing in some milk and cookies last week, right? Y'all went out for coffee afterwards. Oh, so let me see how the members are feeling. And that leaves me down to 2. So do I ask the group members how they want to handle the situation, or do I ignore the statement because it happened 7 years ago? What do you think my answer is?
No, B.
Okay. So between A and B, I would ask the group members how they wanted to handle the situation. I definitely would do that. I cannot ignore the statement. I can't call the police. I can't report it, but I can't just say, hey, by the way, I killed somebody. Well, great. Thanks for sharing. Becky, what'd you do this weekend? You can't do that, right? He just dropped a bomb. You wouldn't do it in an individual session, would you? There's no way, no how that you do it in a group session. Okay. So if someone drops a bomb like that, we have to process it. A hint is whenever I see ignore, that's not going to be the right question. Okay. So we can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. We have to do something about it. So that is it's what's measuring is several things: group cohesiveness, code of ethics, right? So that's not just one. And when I see questions like that, I'm not really sure where they go on the test. It just really talks about that's in one of those group settings. Okay. So as we keep talking, or talk more about the stages and the processes, remember there are the there's product, and content. Let me make sure you understand that. The content is what I teach. Okay, so how I teach it, what I teach it is the content. How we do it in a group setting is going to be the product or the process. So in a group, if I'm going to get a product, that means I'm getting my sheet of paper to get my kids back. I'm going to DUI school because I got a DUI. I'm going to driving school because I got points on my license. I am not trying to make buddy with anybody, right? I'm trying to go in and follow the rules and get my paper. That is a product group. So I'm teaching you how to not drink and drive. I'm teaching you about alcohol and alcohol uses, but I am not necessarily teaching you about, you're not trying to get buddy. So that's the difference between a product and a process group. The product is I've got to get something out of it, and the process is how we do it. So a DUI class, a class that is highly structured. The leader comes in, you sit down, you watch the video, you take the test. The goal is you get your sheet of paper. Hopefully you learn something. Maybe, maybe not. We could also consider those as psychoeducational groups, right? But it's a very behavioral approach. Now, the other ones are going to be then called my process groups. Process happens in the healing. So the cohesiveness is when people get better. So process groups can be the same content, right? I can be talking about drug and alcohol use, but we're going through the stages. It's not about me teaching you. It's about making sure that you understand that the process is norming, storming, norming, forming. So that's what that looks like, of knowing that we want to work on the process, not necessarily the product. So we can look at a couple of those things. So understanding process, product. Okay. In a group session, the leader notices that while many goals were accomplished, unresolved tension lingers between two members. Which counselor response best illustrates balancing content, process, and product? So remember, process is what we're going through, the stages. Product is the content. Give you this one. Okay, so
Doctor, just so you know, these look very, very similar to the test. Just so you know.
thank you.
Mhm.
One of the things, and Ed Pratt is my test person. We have decided to not partnership with Pocket Prep. We're going to partner with a different program, but I can't tell you yet. And we are really the main reason that we're not working with Pocket Prep is because they would not let me write questions that are, I think, more test related than things that are out there. And I really want to prepare our students. So I spent a lot of time writing questions that I think are based on my feedback from my clients are similar to the test. So vagueness, a few recall, but just really trying to get the essence of the test. So you will, you'll see with me, I use them with you, but then you'll see them that we're going to have a app about early September, mid-September. So, okay. So I put that in your chat box and put it in the top as well, I believe. To be honest with you, I haven't seen one book that makes it very clear. I just haven't. Because I teach group, I know these are terms that are on the test, but I haven't really seen one good study guide that really makes these very clear of understanding. So remember, we're looking at the, oops, get all my numbers there. Okay, start this all over. Okay, so the content, like I said, is the what. It's the substance of the work. It is what I am teaching. So it can be the, think of it as raw clay in the potter's hands. I like that saying. But the content is like today, I'm teaching group. I'm teaching group product. I'm teaching group session. This is what I'm teaching. That is the content of what I'm teaching today. The process is how we do it. In the group setting, the process are the stages. The forming, the storming, the norming, the performing. Those are the stages. That's how. Process groups, the healing happens in the cohesiveness. Okay. It's how members take terms, form alliances, or resist change. The product is the outcome. So then in the outcome stages, it would be nice if they gained insight, but in groups, it's usually about problem solving, increased cohesion, but it's most often just getting that sheet of paper, getting the task done. Okay. So in questions, it matters of knowing what is what. So in a product group, again, and that is going to be most often a psychoeducational group. It's going to be a structured leader, and we're not trying to be buddy-buddy. In a process group, what we want to do is go from, again, those stages. We may start off as very autocratic. I'm the boss, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get to laissez-faire, where I get to lay back and let the other group members handle it. The democratic is where everybody's has say so, and some groups get to democratic and never the laissez-faire is not used, and that's fine too. But they also are going to start off with some rules, right? So there's got to be some rules to start off with. Now, remember, in a during a group, if it is a support group, then those are considered the ones that are not led by a professional. Okay, so a counseling group, a professional, a psychotherapy group, you have to have a DSM diagnosis, right? So depending on the type of group, but again, many groups, whether they're official groups led by a professor, still go through the same changes, the same task, the same of how we get there. Okay, so let's go back to that question then. Tamika, take that one for me.
We are going back to, I don't see the question.
Number 8.
Okay, number 8, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In a group setting, the leader notices that while many goals were accomplished, unresolved tension lingers between two members. Which counselor response best illustrates balancing content, process, and product? A, acknowledge the achievements and move.
Stay my question.
Oh.
What's it asking me?
Okay. So it is basically saying that two members have some type of tension or some type of conflict. And the question is asking to find a response that would illustrate content, process, and product.
Okay, so what stage are they in group?
They are in, I'm going to say performing.
Okay, and what words in the question make you say that?
I would assume that they have shared some things in order for there to be some type of tension between the two members.
So if there's still tension, are they performing?
I don't know.
In a group setting, the leader notices that while some of the goals were accomplished, unresolved tension between two members, right? There's still some unresolved tension between two members.
Okay.
Okay, so they're probably not, if we talk about norming, we've got to norms maybe, but I don't think they're at the working stage yet if there's still two members who are still tension between them.
Doctor, so would you say like at this point they haven't finally admitted like you're upsetting me, you're getting on my nerves, or you're talking too much, or I feel like you're blocking?
Oh, you're thinking too much. all I know is in the group, these two people aren't getting along. So that means we're still not in the storming, we're not in the performing stage yet.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
So
Would it
you're
be
saying
storming?
they haven't made it to the, or have they finished the performance stage and you
No,
are
not at all. Not at
settling?
all.
Okay.
Okay, so remember, in the performing stage, we're good. We're cool. We're like we can agree to disagree. We can talk about Trump and Biden and not have a knockdown drag out. Okay, so the whole group is not storming, but definitely we're not as tight as I'd like for us to be. Okay, so we are probably norming. Okay, now let's read my 4 choices.
Okay. A, acknowledge the achievements and move on to the next task. B, emphasize the factual learning that has occurred in the group. C, name the tension openly and invite exploration of the dynamic. D, reassign members new objectives for the following week. Okay, so we want to make sure that we balance content, process, and product. So I would take out acknowledge the achievements and move on to the next task.
Okay,
Um, I think I would take away maybe take away B, emphasize the factual learning has occurred in the group.
okay. Well, I'm taking B out.
I'm not sure if it balances the content, process, and product.
Okay, so I'm looking at the meat of the question.
Mhm.
In group setting, the leader notices that while many goals were accomplished, unresolved tension lingers between the two members. So why is B not a good answer? If we want to help her out, why is B not a good answer?
It doesn't address the tension.
Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. Just like facts will go through it. These two people are fighting. I'm just going to ignore it. Just let's keep going. Exactly. That's why it doesn't ignore any, it doesn't even address any of the tension. So B is out. Good. Okay. Now between C and D, what's my best answer?
I'm gonna go with C, name the tension openly and invite exploration of the dynamic.
Yes, you are.
Doc,
Okay.
can you explain why it's not storming?
Because they've got some goals completed. So I think they're ending storming because it says they've got some goals completed.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense? So the question didn't ask me specifically what stage it was in. So I just kind of have that in mind when I'm reading the questions. So it could be storming, but the fact that they've got some things done makes me think they're just a little bit past that, but they're still not tight.
So Dr. Pam, if the whole group was still had tension or resistant, that would be
Definitely storming.
storming. Okay, but since
But we
it
haven't
was
gotten
just
anything
2.
done yet. We haven't got one goal accomplished because y'all still fighting.
Okay. So because some of the group is doing well and it's just 2, it's doing okay. Thank you.
Okay. So if we're in norming, we've gotten the basic rules down, right? But we're still not tight enough to be performing. That makes sense? Okay, let's stay there.
Just to let y'all know, guys, while Dr. Pam talks, the content, process, and product that she was talking about, these also come up in the research and assessment that we'll be learning, like the math stuff. Um, and it's not really like, you know how when she talks about assimilation and accommodation, how it means something different, like in one chapter, but then it's something different in another chapter. For the process, product, and content, it means the same thing over there. And it comes up like on the test. And it's also really important in the math part of what we're going to be learning too. So if y'all just want to put a note on your stuff that the product, process, and content here is also going to come up over there. And it does come out on our test. Just so y'all know.
I'm sorry, repeat that. I wasn't listening.
I was just telling them about how product, content, and process, it also comes up later on when we're working on research and assessment, that the terms come up there. And I was telling them how, you know, whenever we talk about like acculturation and assimilation, how many times we have to kind of consider that it means something different in another chapter. Well, on process, product, and content, it comes up later on as well, and it means the same thing. So just to note that.
So an example would be content validity.
Yes.
Does the a lot of you, when you went to take the test, the face validity said, welcome to the NCE, right? That's face validity. And then when you open the test, you're like, this is not what I studied. You felt the content wasn't valid. It was valid. You just studied wrong. Okay. So that when she talks about content, content is still content. So we talk about it in content validity is does the instrument measure what it's supposed to measure? The content. That makes sense? And thank you for bringing that up, Edna. I think that's also, there's so much cross material. That's why I always can never figure out where they're measured. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's try this one again. So another one, Edna, go ahead.
Where are we, doctor?
In a group. Did I stop sharing? I did.
Okay. In a group, members debate which coping strategies are most useful. One participant dominates with detailed examples, while others remain silent. From a counseling perspective, the most important focus is on what? So this is a group session, and there's members that are going back and forth about the coping strategies and which coping strategies are most useful. They've noticed that one participant, that one participant dominates with examples, still debating why the coping strategies, which ones are most useful. And there's others that are just remaining silent while this one dominates. So when it comes to a counseling perspective, what are we focusing on the most in this? Would it be A, clarifying?
What's the question trying to ask you?
So
what do you think they're trying to measure?
In a group in a group session, the most important focus, what are we focusing on when it comes to the members debating on the coping strategies, and this one person is dominating while others are staying quiet?
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. What stage of group do you think they're in?
They would be still in the maybe in the norming stage.
Probably. So
And
most
mostly
of them are
because
there, but
they're
one,
comfortable enough to debate. However, there's still some that are staying back while this other one takes the lead and just runs with whatever he's gonna say.
okay. So if I have one participant that dominates with detailed examples, which skill would I use to stop that? What's that called? Sheena?
Can you ask the question one more time?
So in this question, right? So the book talks about the skills or the tools that the counselor needs to be a good group leader. If I have a group member who dominates, they keep talking and they keep giving me detailed examples of every little detail, and I want them to shut up, what's that term called?
Is it confronting?
Not in group. Anybody got an idea? What's it called? Blocking. If I have a group member who won't shut up, I'm going to say, anybody, thanks for sharing, Barbara, but let's give somebody else a chance. Okay. So blocking is great. If I do it, it's great. If a group member blocks, it's not good, because the group member is blocking because they don't want to go on. They're trying to continue to be resistant or not ready to work on their own stuff. Okay. So from in that line, those two lines, that's what I want to understand. If I look at any of the question, I want to get that what's happening in the question. Now read off.
Okay. The most important focus is on A, clarifying the factual accuracy of the examples shared. Would it be B, observing the unspoken patterns of participation? C, assigning members to document strategies for future sessions? Or D, redirecting the discussion toward evaluating which strategy is best? I would take out A, because that is not the most important focus right now.
Okay.
We'll worry about that a little bit later.
Maybe never. I don't know
Not
that I
the
need to know
most
every
important focus
detail
right
of what
now.
he said. I don't know.
And I'm not gonna, the most important focus right now is not redirecting the discussion toward evaluating which strategy is best.
I'm down to 2. I'm going back to a question.
Going back to the question, in a group, members debate which coping strategies are most useful. One participant dominates with detailed examples while others remain silent. From a counseling perspective, the most important focus is on what? Is it on observing the unspoken patterns of participation? Or is it assigning members to document strategies for future sessions? I think the most important focus is on observing the unspoken patterns of participation.
Okay. And why?
Because I want, just like you mentioned earlier, I want to hear from the ones that are remaining silent and not so much from I don't know, you called him something, Robert, somebody. You meant somebody's name.
Tom,
Barbara.
Dick, or
Barbara.
Harry. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever.
Okay.
You want to hear more from the silent ones and not so much from just Barbara.
Okay. Now, so another thing that you might see on the test is if I'm in the group and I find that Barbara tends to be silent the whole time, one of the ways of getting Barbara to be in the group is to ask Barbara about what she thinks about what somebody else said. Because especially in those early stages, I may not say anything. And especially if I don't feel like sharing things about myself, I can say, well, Barbara, what do you think about what Bob said? That's a way of engaging her without putting her on the spot. We've got people who are just a little timid about being in the group process. Okay. Makes sense?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
So ask me a question.
Because again, I'm thinking, why aren't we at storming? If there's
Okay. Does it really matter in this question?
well, I would think so if you
Would it change your answer?
no.
Okay. So I'm not saying they're tight. Okay. And the question is not measuring storming.
Okay.
So if the question was specifically measuring storming, then that would be the best answer. And I'm not saying it's not storming. I'm just saying that they've got some coping strategies. They're probably already in storming because they debate. They're probably storming. You're right. They're probably storming. The last question they had done some things, and this one they hadn't. They haven't done anything.
This is my thing, Dr. Pam, because understanding what they are,
Mm-hmm.
key to how to answer the question.
Not in this one. It's not.
Okay.
I just want you to have an idea of where they're at in your mind. When you're reading, I want you to know, where do you think they're at?
Okay.
And you're right. This one should be storming because there's nothing in here that says that they haven't discussed anything. So you're absolutely right on that one. Okay, so the storming stage would be they're debating, one member dominates, so they are at the storming stage. And I apologize for that. You are absolutely right. So these are the questions, and you tell me, I may have seen one or two that actually look like that. Those are recall questions. And the people that have taken the test, do you see lots of those where there's just recall?
Yes, at times, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see lots of them, but I had at least one that asked me very similar to this, where it just wanted 1, 2, 3, or 4, like very simple, like you said, recall. But there was maybe one for the, for the majority, it's just like the ones above, where it's a scenario and I have to read between the lines, like you said, the very gray.
So in this one, this is where I really have to know the stages. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay, who wants this one?
I'll take it.
I'll try it. Oh,
Who is that?
it's Sheena, but go ahead.
Okay. In evaluating a group's progress, a counselor observes that members have achieved goals but never truly developed trust or cohesion. Which developmental stage was most likely bypassed? I'm taking out forming, and I'm taking out performing. And I'm going with norming.
Okay, tell me why.
Because that's where the trust deepens. That's where the connection, and you, like you said, you make friends, you share, your origin stories or whatever. And since they don't have that, that was probably just passed.
Okay. So some people would say that it would be storming, because if I don't storm, then I can't get through the process. So
Mm.
how did you decide whether it was, which one it was? Let's go back to the question.
Okay. In evaluating a group's progress, a counselor observes that members have achieved goals,
Mhm.
never truly developed trust or cohesion.
Mhm. Absolutely. 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 So can we take this back to the question before?
Okay.
So that number 8 was they have reached some goals. Okay, but the trust is still not there.
Okay.
So 9 was, you're absolutely right, because I didn't read that. They have not reached any goals. So they're definitely still in the storming stage. Does that clarify what I said? Or
I get it.
clarify what I get right? So
That makes,
okay.
that helps a lot.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Okay.
So here they have achieved their goals. They have.
Some. Well, they have achieved their goals, yes. The one above, so they had achieved some of the goals.
That
Sorry, I taught groups last night and I was trying to find my same documents. So this one talks about primary, secondary, and tertiary stages. Do we know those? So they were used for group, right? However, and yours has their use for group, but they're not always used for group. They really are about many times.
I remember from one of your group sessions video, primary is the group of people that has not been affected by anything. Like we mentioned COVID, they haven't been affected. Secondary is they've been exposed, so now they trying to keep themselves checked by like staying away from being around public, having masks on and all that. And tertiary is they
Tertiary.
already been exposed.
Okay.
I've never said they were right in my head, but
Tertiary.
they've been tertiary.
There we go.
Oh,
Tertiary. Okay,
but
so
yeah,
it's a public health model. So you're right. Okay, so what it looks at is how we stop things in the community from getting worse, or how we educate people. Okay, so this one particularly talks about domestic violence. Okay, so a primary intervention of domestic violence would be what?
Educating
Who would you educate?
men and women.
Okay. So, you know, if I have a group that says, please come on down and let me teach about domestic violence, no one's going to show up. Right. But how about in high school where we start talking about dating violence? Right. So that's before anything ever happens. We can do even as early as middle school. Right. So just educating people on the cycle of violence. What is the cycle of violence? Oh, come on, yellow stages. Honeymoon.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about some stages. I know one of them is honeymoon, but
So why do I need a honeymoon? What happened?
what happens in honeymoon stage, if I remember
Why
correctly.
do I need a honeymoon? What happened before that?
So first is the incident.
Okay.
Oh,
Hold on, stay with me. So why do I need a honeymoon stage then, Shatia?
why do I need the honeymoon stage?
Uh-huh. Why is he saying I'm sorry?
He's saying he's sorry because, dang it.
He beat your ass.
Yeah.
What don't you get? Okay. I'm sorry. I said that appropriate. So you would get, that's why he says he's sorry, right?
Yeah, so he won't
honeymoon
beat you no
stage.
more.
Sorry.
He asks for forgiveness.
Absolutely. It brings you flowers, honey, you know, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I have a honeymoon stage, because he beat my ass. Okay. So then, and then what happens is it's going to happen again. Despite, you know, when you were little, your mama said, if he hits you once, he'll hit you again. Okay. So what happens is a question might say it happened a year ago. And she thinks it'll never happen again. And the goal is I have to educate her on it will happen again. Unless there's an intervention, it will happen again. So then we have the tension building, right? So we feel the tension. He's coming home from work angry. She feels the tension in the room. And yes, it happens both ways. Same sex domestic violence is, especially men, is lethal many times. Okay, so I use typical men and women just for the basis of the test, but I'm quite aware that happens across whatever couples we are. So then the battering incident happens. It says choking, humiliation, use of weapons, etc. And then the honeymoon happens, and the honeymoon period again. What happens? It gets closer and closer and closer. Okay, so then what it looks like is then it's happening all the time. So when we talk about a safety plan, when do we use that? The questions always talk about a safety plan, right? So what does that mean? And what does that look like? Okay, ladies, I live in a group full of ladies, and I know the stats of women that have been in abusive relationships. So if you ain't been in one, you know somebody. Okay, so if you've got someone who's going to stay, what do we say to them? Kathy, what do we say?
Guess we would be there to support them. Like we wouldn't leave them.
Okay. So what would a safety plan look like?
Plan.
Give me some examples. What would it look like?
So safety plan will be having a mercy context, having a safe place to go to after, you know, if it gets too bad, you know, and if your kids involved, you know, how would you, in a scenario, how would you do with your kids and all that? I did have to do a safety plan, but not for abusive. I had to do it for suicidal.
It doesn't change though, right? The goal is we're going to make sure the client is safe. So one of the things that we know is that when a woman decides to leave, that's the most lethal time. Okay. So we used to say, just get in the car and leave. And we really know that that's when women are most often killed. So a safety plan talks about, when you feel the tension happening, this is what you're going to do. One of the things that I do, I teach this in my class, is I keep my keys in the car. My car's in the garage. Okay, so no worries. But my keys are always in the car. So if something, and not that I live by myself, my Shih Tzus aren't going to, beat me up. But should somebody try to get in my house, if something happened, I don't want to be looking for my keys. Okay, so things like that are part of a safety plan. So women, especially who maybe financial control is very much a part of abuse. So I've had women who in order to save money, they would, go grocery shopping. They had to show him the receipt and then take some things back and kind of start a little stash so she has some money. The goal is little things like that to help her make a plan of how to leave. We don't just leave anymore because we know that is the most dangerous time. Okay. So that's always a question on there. Give her a safety plan. So that's what it looks like. Okay. And also the reason, or when women decided to leave, that's called the social exchange theory. So the social exchange theory says that when the good outweighs the bad, I will stay. But when it goes the other way, then I will leave. And it's not only for domestic violence, it's for anybody. It's not that one. Right.
Hi, Dr. Pam. I had a client in a situation like that where the dude was stopping her from being in group, and she was court ordered to be in group. And she was like, she was asking me, what should I do? And I was like, most likely, the best choice is for you to leave, but you got to make a plan before you leave. I said, you got to slowly build yourself up to leaving, to where when you leave, you don't go back. Because even though financially he was taking care of her, I'm like, I get it. He financially taking care of you. A lot of women like, I don't understand why women stay. Like, because financially she can't take care of by herself. So we had
women stay
gave
on
her
both
resources.
ends. Women stay on both ends. Even women who make the money still stay.
Oh.
Yep. It's not just for women. It happens in upper middle class neighborhoods, and women still stay. It has nothing to do, not nothing to do with that, but it has more to do with power and control. So hopefully most states have gotten better that we don't send men to anger management anymore. It's not that they have an anger problem. An anger problem is when I have an explosive disorder and I beat up the policeman. I purposely beat up someone who's smaller and less, that makes me feel better if I beat her up. So men need a self-esteem. Men need those kind of appropriate assertive skills, not anger management.
They still got anger management class. They still force.
I hope they
people
don't
to
use it for
anger management
domestic
class.
violence people. They should use it for people
I
who
hope not
bar
either.
fights. That's what it's for. That's intermittent explosive disorder. That's the DSM diagnosis. That my behavior, I go off on people for, little or no reason. But men who just beat their wives, that's about power and control. It's the whole cycle. Remember, if I went out on the first date, if we went out together and you swung on me, would I keep dating you? Not at all, right? So it's the whole power of control. So we start off with, I'm so nice to you and nobody will ever love me the way that I love you. And oh, let me buy your clothes. Oh, you don't need to spend the holiday with your family. Spend the time with me. So it's a whole process. So that's not anger. That's purposeful about power and control. So that's the social exchange theory. That's when people leave relationships. Okay. Can I report domestic violence? Sheena, can I report domestic violence?
No.
Say like you mean it. That was like, there was a
No, I mean,
question
you
on
have to-
the end.
You have to encourage the client to report it.
Okay. I if she wants to, I will, but I'm not, if she doesn't, she doesn't, right? I'm going to support the client.
Yeah.
Dr. Pam, ain't the code of ethics, we don't report domestic violence?
We do not.
Also.
She was right. I just wanted her to know she was right. Like, no. That was like, no. No question mark at the end. So I just want to show you. So I went over domestic violence, that social exchange theory. So again, the questions won't look that way. This is what a question might look like based on that theory. So many times you see the questions, you just don't know the theory that's behind it. Okay. Joe, take that question.
All right. A counselor notices a client repeatedly says, hold on, sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's causing me problems. I give so much to my partner, but I don't get the same in return. From a relationship dynamic perspective, the most likely reflects, all right. So the client is clearly having some issues with their partner, whether or not it's domestic violence is not clear, but definitely feeling like they're undervalued or at least used. So from this relationship dynamics perspective, we're looking for the answer that is most accurate. So a perception of, sorry, iniquity in the relationship exchange, a temporary communication breakdown, a focus on emotional rather than practical benefits, or a lack of awareness of long-term commitment. I would say yes, I'm going to rule out a temporary communications breakdown.
Well, let's take a step back and
I'm going to take out a lack of awareness of long-term commitment. I'm struggling between A and C because it definitely sounds like she's referring to like emotions more so than things, but I mean, that's not outright stated.
So do I know the theory? What does the theory say?
This theory is not one that I'm well versed in, no.
So I just went over it, the social exchange theory.
Okay. Yeah.
So what does it say? Can you remember what I said?
Well, the cost benefit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we will leave any relationship when I'm getting more that I'm putting out. When it stops being a beneficial for me, I will leave. And it's not just a domestic violence; it's a job. If I'm giving and giving and giving, and I feel like now that I'm not getting enough, it begins to cost me more, whether it's emotionally, financially, whatever, I'm out.
Yeah.
The theory basically says that humans are selfish, that we'll do what's best for us. So we can, as long as it's an even exchange, we cool. But the minute I start giving more and getting less, then I'm going to end that relationship. Okay. Well, that's the theory. Okay. So now I put that in a question so you could kind of understand what it looks like, the vagueness of the questions.
Yeah, definitely is. So in light of that, I would say it's A,
Mhm.
perception of inequality in relational exchange.
Got it.
Yeah, it's very vague.
Okay, so that's it. So as we learn theories, that's the issues. You get there and you'll swear up and down you've never saw this on the test. And I'm going to tell you that's usually on there. That's a really important theory when it comes to learning how we operate.
Yeah, whatever you guys are making is fine. Oh, okay. Toast would be great. Thank you.
I like toast too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't mind. Okay, so we were going back to primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. That's where I started when we were talking about the domestic violence, right? So again, primary prevention is before it starts. The primary prevention is the DARE program. I'm giving everybody in school the same information. The secondary now would be, I've got a kid who maybe is his best friend got arrested for drug use, or he brings like his mother's, fifth to school, something that says just say no isn't working for him. And then that tertiary is now he already has the problem, and we're trying to figure out how to make it stop from getting worse or stop it from spreading. A tertiary intervention could be he's coming back out of a substance abuse treatment. Now he's back in school, right? So I need to give him special attention, or what he gets, it needs to be higher than what everybody else gets. If you're a counselor or worked at a school, usually you have the same tier program with students. You label students as higher risk, and then the absolute high risk. I'm not sure what it's called in most school systems. It's not necessarily behavioral, it's sometimes learning. Okay, so it's the same kind of thing as how we look at those. So let's look at some of those questions. From the chat box, I can run to the restroom. You can work on together. Maybe a couple. You see all four of those in the chat box? Everybody? Okay, you can work
Yes,
on
we
them
do.
together. I'll be back.
You want me to read one, guys?
Yeah,
Together?
popcorn it. Let's popcorn it this time.
Alrighty. Okay, so sorry, I'm a little lost today. Okay.
Right.
A woman who has never used substances is enrolled in a community resilience program after a local opioid crisis. Which prevention level is least applicable? So this woman, she's enrolled in a program, a community resilience program. She after a local opioid crisis. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not having a good day. A woman who has never used substances is enrolled in a community resilience program after a local opioid crisis. So, which prevention level is least applicable to her? She's never used substances, but she is enrolled in this program for it's a local opioid crisis. would it be A, primary, B, secondary, C, tertiary, or D, risk education? Which one would we say we can roll out first?
D.
D.
D. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Being yes, thumbs up.
What
Alrighty.
is risk, what is risk reduction?
That's kind of why I kind of figured we would take it out also.
But
Risk
it's,
reduction is like the DARE program. You don't necessarily know that, and it's applicable to all the participants, but you're gonna put everyone in it just in case.
so why would we take that one out? If it's saying least applicable, right? So we're taking out the one that would not apply to her situation, right?
Yeah, which
So that
risk
would be C.
B and C, I would consider taking out. A and D would be my choices.
Which prevention level is least applicable? So which
Least-
intervention level will be the one that she did not need, right?
yeah, because you have to
So
also
it would
look
be C, right?
Yeah.
Because C is a tier 3 intervention. That's not the most
applicable for her.
intense intervention. Or would C be, or B would be the most intense? Which one is the
Well,
most?
you know
intense?
what?
Clarification, Sheena, because I was that when they do that accept or least, I always throws me off. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah, wait, thank you, Sheena, for that. Okay, so the one that we would least apply would be because she's never used substances. So then, do you all agree? Like the tertiary, that's if she has, because it's to her, like it's applying to her. So she's in this crisis program because she's actually used substances and it's for her.
Yeah, that's the third tier. So
Yeah,
yes.
so that would least apply to her,
Right.
right? So then that would be one of the ones we keep. Because it would least apply to her. It's the least applicable.
Right.
Okay. So then, like you all mentioned, and I'm glad you all caught that. So like the risk reduction would apply to her. And so would the primary. So it's kind of like doing it, you know, and like Joe said. Okay, so then we would keep B and C. And which one would we think?
I
C.
see.
See,
C. Okay. Okay, next one. Anybody else but me, because I completely messed that up. Sorry, guys.
Pick someone and
I don't think you messed it up. I think you were eliminating. So I think you were getting down to the letter C. I think you were eliminating. So I think it just was miscommunication.
Yeah,
those accept questions throw me off too, because
all the time.
they're not, they don't feel applicable.
Well, here's another one. So let's
If it didn't have the leash, I think the answer would have been C. I mean B. But I could see why C is the answer.
okay, let's try the next one.
She put it so small, but scenario in a harm reduction group, the counselor distributes. Let me make sure. Let me make sure that's it. Yeah, okay. Distributes a Nelson and educates clients about overdose prevention. What description is not accurate? So you're still talking about the primary, secondary, and tertiary. And so in a harm reduction group, the counselor is distributing it, but clients are educated about overdose prevention. So, and it's educated over overdose prevention. So we looking for there's one that's not accurate. A, is it tertiary prevention measure? B, it seeks to prevent sequelae. C, it reduce fatal outcomes or relapse. D eliminates all initial risk factors. So
I would say D
This
is the
is
answer just
like the
because it says
last
all.
one.
you said take D out?
No, I'm sorry. I was jumping ahead. I was going to say D is the answer because it says all, and that's an overstatement.
I agree.
Which description is not accurate?
You know what? I can see why she said that. I can see why you said that, Joe.
And then harm reduction.
So y'all are saying D is the
Is
opposite.
the
So
answer,
D
and
is
I would
something
say,
we would do.
yeah,
Okay,
because
so
it's
what's
not accurate.
I'm
But
saying D is the answer to that question
oh,
because it says
but
all.
A, I would have took A
But that
out
would, hold
because
on. I'm sorry. Because it's just asking which description is not accurate, right? So a harm reduction group would be what would be the purpose of that? To educate the group on how to use this drug and to educate the client, right? On about overdose. Am I thinking correctly or no?
yeah, so you pretty much this is a harm reduction group. So you already trying to reduce the was the overdose. So you're not only distributing Nelson, which and then you giving them educate them on overdose prevention. So you gave them it's a I'm gonna say medication. That's the proper way of saying you gave them some type of medication for if somebody get overdose, and you teach them how to do overdose prevention.
Okay.
So which one is not accurate? So we already trying to do reduction. We trying to do harm reduction from the group. So we teach them more about how to reduce harm. And the teacher gave them a type of medication they use for when a person overdose. And I mean, the counselor give them something to help them if a person overdose in front of them, they could use the Nelson. And the counselor is educating them over overdose prevention. So
Okay, and Joe, you were saying it's D because it says all. So but you're saying, so I think you kept saying all. It was like, well, why is it? But I think I get it now. You're saying like, it can't basically
it
it's
can't
no way
eliminate
that
all risk
yeah.
factors.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying the word all is a red flag there for me.
Mhm.
Anytime I hear all or every or always, I'm, questioning.
Because C, it reduced fatal outcomes and relapse. It does reduce fatal outcomes and relapse. Because she's teaching, she educated them and gave them some type of medication to stop if a person overdoses in front of them. It does seek to prevent the sequelae. I can't say nice sequelae. So
It's
B
a
was out of the
sequela.
question. And
The word is
C.
sequela, but it
There you
just
go.
means it
Thank you.
happens again.
Could never say that right
Sequela
in my
means
head.
the sequence.
I figured it'd be sequence. That's in my
Mhm.
head, I swear. I was
And
like,
that's
this
what you want to
person
do
was
when you don't know. You just want to just go to the base roots. What's the base mean?
so yeah, B and C was out of the question. So we got A and D. And like Joe said, that all is a big red flag. So yeah, Joe, I'm with you. D is right. Eliminates all initial risk factors. There's no way it's gonna eliminate all risk factors for that. Um,
So which ones did we do?
we did the woman. No,
Okay.
yeah, no, my bad. We did the woman and that.
Okay. So what's the answer to the woman?
I believe everybody had picked C.
C.
Did y'all pick C, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is risk reduction?
Joe said it was kind of like their program.
Okay. So what was your answer then? I just want to recall what you said. What was the answer?
So you
We
said
said
C.
C. Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. So risk reduction would be part of like a primary prevention.
Mhm.
Okay. What the next one?
We said D for that one.
Okay. I call it the tail end of that. And Joe made it very easy. All is a red flag. All is a red flag. So if it says all, there are very few things that are always going to happen, things that are never going to happen. Very, very few. Okay. Do we get to the next one?
No, you caught us at the end of that one.
Okay. You want to take that one? Let's go. Who wants it? Who wants to pass?
I'll take it. A community launches a campaign to identify pregnant women at risk for substance misuse and provide immediate support. Which prevention factor is not central? Okay, so
Then my question, what's it asking me?
there's a campaign to help women who are at risk of substance misuse. And they also want to make sure that they provide immediate support. Okay, so we're looking for which prevention factor is not central, or which is not the focus as much. I would say eliminate D, reducing complications.
So if it's a not question, how am I starting? If it's a
Explain
not
it.
question, I rule out what is true.
Okay,
Okay. So what is true?
all right. So
And I'm not saying I shouldn't take that one out. I'm just teaching you. These
mhm,
are test taking skills of how we
Okay.
answer questions. Okay.
okay. All right, so we need to think about what is true about
Mhm.
this campaign. Okay, it is an early identification program.
Okay.
I think that it also is the purpose of it is to reduce complications.
Okay.
And I would say that it is the answer is C, secondary prevention.
And why?
Because secondary, all of the other choices are primary.
Okay. So reduce treatment for chronic use. How did that get
Oh no,
primary?
okay, no, that's not, that's not. That is treachery.
Okay. So between the C and D, which
Mhm.
is not the most important.
I'm stuck from here. I'm not
No,
sure.
you're not. You're going back to the question. What's the question? Ask me.
It's asking about which one is not the central focus or
The whole question. When I say the question, the meat and the potatoes are the whole question. They're giving you the hints and clues. Okay. So a community launches a campaign to identify pregnant women at risk for substance abuse and remember, provide immediate support.
Mhm.
So they're already pregnant and they're at risk for substance misuse. So secondary, or they need to learn about relapse. Are they using drugs right now?
They are not. They are at risk.
Okay, so which one of these would talk about people who are using drugs?
The one that is talking about R is the
Mhm.
relapse treatment for
Very
chronic.
good. And these women are not using drugs. So they don't need relapse because they're not using. Secondary prevention would be okay also because they're at higher risk because they're pregnant and they're at risk for substance misuse. Okay, so a secondary prevention would be different than just say no to drugs. Right? So something, some kind of form, something has triggered me to know that these people are at more risk. Oops, did that wrong. Okay, so process with me. What made it difficult?
Really nothing. I just think I need to do better at looking at more of the clues in what the question is actually giving me. So
I heard it was a reading test. Somebody told me that focus on what they're giving you. It's not a guessing game, right? They're giving you the hints and the clues in the question.
mhm.
Okay. Kia, you wanted this one?
So, sorry. Scenario: a counselor screens adolescents for early signs of depression after a peer suicide in the community. Which statement is not, I hate these, which statement is not consistent with the purpose of this intervention?
It's almost as if like a tutor would give you ones that you have struggled with, right? Like, imagine that.
So, okay,
We rule out what is true.
it is true. So, what would be true for counselor screens adolescents for early signs of depression? A, it is a secondary prevention. B, it focuses on early detection. C, it targets symptomatic individuals only. And D, it seeks to prevent progression. B, I would eliminate.
Okay.
And then and C, I would eliminate.
So D and C or B and C?
E and C.
Now I'm going back to the question. What's it asking me?
What is it not? Which statement is not consistent? Not. So in reading it, it is early
I
signs.
think you're lost in the question.
No, I just want to make sure I'm getting it right. I just want to make sure.
Okay. So go back to my question though. Tell me what's happening.
So a counselor is screening adolescents for early signs. So it's a screening.
Okay. So a screening is what intervention?
Second. It's not.
So a primary would probably goes to everybody. Screening could go to secondary. So if I'm looking for higher risk, but most often screening is primary because like when you start elementary school, you get screened for your vision.
Okay, because I'm looking at the note that you put in there and it says secondary prevention could apply if early screening or monitoring occurs.
Okay.
The early screening.
So if I picked up something in early screening, that would make it a secondary. The screening itself would be a primary.
Right, correct.
Okay.
The primary. So I would eliminate is not consistent with, so I would eliminate B. My A would be my choice.
Okay. So a counselor screens adolescents for early signs of depression after peer suicide, which statement is not consistent. Okay. So then is it a secondary prevention or is it early detection?
This is early detection.
It is. It is.
I hate these not questions because I never, it's like a brain twist.
Okay. So the screening part, it is primary.
Right.
Okay. So once your screening determines that you have a problem and it's at more than the average Joe, you're going to get a secondary. So I just did that wrong. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Oh, that's not my knot. I'm sorry. Ooh, you're right. The knot. Sorry, I did that wrong. I'm not trying to make it more confusing. Ooh.
Yes. That's how I'm like, what?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. So that makes sense.
Which is not which statement is not consistent with the purpose of this. It's a secondary prevention. It's not a secondary prevention because they're doing the initial screening.
Got it.
Got you. Okay. Understood.
See, I read that wrong too in my head. I read it wrong so many times.
Okay, so let's get to some other terms. Okay. Let's see here. Kathy, this is yours.
In a parenting skills group, the leader encourages members to role play challenging situations with their children, which description is not accurate. So there is a group in parenting skills, and the leader is encouraging them to role play challenging situations regarding their children. So the question is asking which of the following options is not accurate. A, it develops new coping skills. B, it serves as rehearsal to prevent future crises. C, it ensures permanent resolution of family conflict. Or D, it provides immediate peer feedback. So again, I would like which of these descriptions is not accurate. So I would eliminate it develops new coping skills because role-playing challenging situations does provide new coping skills. And then I would eliminate B, that it serves as rehearsal to prevent future crisis.
Okay. Do you know what that theory right there is called?
Role-playing
When
is
I use rehearsal to help you prepare for a possible future crisis? That's stress inoculation.
Okay.
What's that mean?
It's like telling you, like kind of like guiding you in.
Okay. So it's Meckenbaum's SIT, stress inoculation training. What it talks about is when you were in elementary school, you learned to stop, drop, and roll.
Mhm.
Okay. The fireman came to school, and what did he tell you? If there was a fire, what do you do?
Stop, drop, and roll.
Okay. So that's if you catch on fire. In general, when you
Stay
learned,
calm.
okay, so do you remember something about field? Damn, I don't want to be in a house with you with the fire. Don't you remember something about touch the doors, right? Stay down on the floor. You don't remember none of that stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, I do not want to be in a house with you because we learned that in elementary school, right? The fireman came to school and he gave us a whole thing on like what to do. So stop, drop, and roll was then definitely as you got if you caught on fire. Now, thinking about that now, that's scary as all get out, catching on fire. But when we were like 6, did it dawn on you that you could catch on fire? Oh, but so stress inoculation theory is giving yourself a little bit of the stress, you rehearse, and then should it happen, then we are prepared. Okay, so again, when I see a question like that, I want you to know to serve as a rehearsal to prevent future crisis is stress inoculation training. That's by Meckenbaum. I want that words to come straight to your head so you know who that is. So let's talk about what that looks like in real life. So how many of you work in school settings or somewhere where you've had someone come in and talk to you about what to do if there's a school shooter? Okay, so the first part is they educate you. What do they say?
They give you statistics and safety precautions and
Be specific. What do they say? When they're educating you, what do they say?
They kind of start telling us about what to look for, signs to look for. Let's just say if you have a distressed or a coworker that's been kind of acting odd lately, or if you start, if you hear something strange, those things. But I remember they tell us about like that coworker that's been frustrated lately or kind of just lashing out lately. So they start with those things.
So they start by educating you, understanding. And now I think we're all good that we know this can happen, but they usually come in and start by educating you. These are the stats. These are the facts. We know that this happens in so many schools. We can't pick a rhyme or reason of why they happen. So the first part is to educate you. And then most often in schools, now you have included some kind of shooter drill, right? Or a code red, code blue, code whatever, right? So when something should happen, then you're more prepared. So inoculation is a shot, right? So the goal is if I give myself a shot of what might happen, then when it happens, I'm more prepared. That's Meckenbaum's stress inoculation theory. Okay? And that's what that question was leading to. Okay? Again, this is usually on the test. You may not see his name. You may not see the theory. But when it talks about rehearsal and trying to avoid things for the future, I tell anybody that lives in Texas, y'all, whether it rains or snows or freezes, y'all need to have a generator. I'm just saying, every time I see on the news, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, something's happening, y'all ain't got no power. I'm put that out there. Anyone that lives in any of the big cities in Houston and Dallas that I see on the news, y'all need a generator. Okay. If you live on a river, you need to get some life jackets or something. Okay. So flooding is real. So that's part of it, right? So educate yourself on the global changes that are happening in your neighborhood, in the world. When it says it's going to rain, did y'all see in Chattanooga like this week? We haven't flooded in like 20 years, 30 years. Wasn't the 100-year flood, but it's really bad. So and the forecast calls for rain. So now when I know the forecast calls for rain and rain for several days, I know the low-lying areas that I need to stay away from. Okay. That's what it looks like in real life. That's what it looks like with your clients. If you've got a client who perhaps is considering going through a divorce, let's weigh the pros and cons. Let's educate them on what it looks like. Can you do it by itself? Let's rehearse. Maybe let's try just going away for a weekend and see what it's like without him. And then when it happens, you've got a plan. Okay, that is Meckenbaum. That is, he's a theorist. He's in chapter 3 of My Behaviorist. Okay, back to my question.
So it's a parenting skills group, and the leader is encouraging parents to role play challenging situations with their children. So it's asking which of the following is not accurate description of this. So I'm between C, it ensures permanent resolution of family conflict, or D, it provides immediate peer feedback. My answer would be C, it ensures permanent resolution of family conflict.
Got it. So what type of group would this be?
That would be primary.
So instead of, I'm sorry, primary, secondary, tertiary, I mean, what the many types of groups we use. We have counseling groups, we have psychoeducational groups, we have support groups. So what kind of group would this be? What type of group?
Psychoeducational.
Psychoeducational. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you put the stress inoculation graphic in the chat?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Again, as we learn these things, we're not just trying to memorize them for the test, we're trying to learn to use them every day. And the more you're comfortable with it, the more you'll know what it looks like in a question. Okay, so Yalom, of course, he's got my stages as well as my curative factors. Donald Meckenbaum belongs to stress inoculation. Okie dokie. Kathy.
Yes, a quiet member shares for the first time after the counselor responds warmly. Your voice matters here. The group affirms the courage to speak. So a member who's very quiet is sharing for the first time, and the counselor responds, your voice matters here. So the group affirms the courage to speak. Which creative factor is not being demonstrated. So A, cohesion, B, universality, C, development of socializing techniques, or D, installation of hope. So again, like there's a group member who's very quiet and is speaking for the first time. And so the counselor is responding to this as your voice matters here. And all the group members affirm this person to speak. So the question is asking which of these is not being demonstrated, is not a creative factor.
So Yalom says all of these things are what helps people get better in group. These are called the curative factors. I think you have 11.
And so I would eliminate cohesion because that's what brings the group together.
Okay.
And then I would eliminate C, development of socializing techniques, because it is being demonstrated here.
What is? Tell me how that's.
Of socializing, because they're encouraging this person to speak up, like that it's okay to speak, that their voice matters. So they're socializing.
So I wouldn't take that out first, okay? So socializing techniques are learning to say please and thank you.
Oh.
Socializing techniques are social skills. Okay, so I wouldn't take that out yet. When I think of social skills, I think about very clear. What stands out in my mind is I was doing a group with men who had just been recently released from prison, and whole group of people, whole room, but like 5 or 6 of the men would sit side by side, so tight, and lots of seats around them, because that's how they've been socialized to sit in prison. To teach them, if you go to the movies like that, people gonna think you gay. That is not what happens in the real world. So socializing techniques are teaching you how to know manners, how to behave in a certain place, what fork to use. Okay, I just want to get that term out there. You might see pro-social skills. Barney teaches us clean up, everybody do your share. Those are pro-social skills. Okay, so I'm not saying your answer is not right. I just want to make sure that you understood what the question was.
Okay.
Okay,
So
did I lose the question? Hold
on. Answer. So I would eliminate universality, because that's telling you that you're not alone.
Okay, so let's stay on my question. A group member shares for the first time in the counseling group and responds warmly. Your voice matters here. Okay, so she has learned cohesion, right? You're important, you're a part of this group. I have learned social skills by reminding her it's okay to talk in this group. So now between B and D, which one of these did not teach? All I've got is the quiet member shares for the first time after the counselor responds warmly. Your voice matters here.
Yeah, and universality means that the person is not alone.
Did the question say that?
It would, no, because it's asking what is not being demonstrated, and universality being demonstrated.
What's my answer?
D, installation.
No. Do you see anything in the group that she says, I'm so glad there are other people here?
No.
Universality would say, well, come on in. There are 17,000 people like you in this group.
Okay.
She didn't do that. All she said was, hey, your voice matters. Did that make the girl feel better?
Yeah, which instilled hope.
Very good. Very good. So those are the curative factors that I just really have to know to get those right. So, and universality is you're not the only one. And I think this is a typical question, because you know they're all curative factors. You just have to figure out which one is that right curative factor. Anybody else struggle with that?
I'm telling you, it's the knot. The knot is messing us all up. The knot.
The knot is going to save your ass. That's why I'm teaching you this. We're going to struggle today, because we're going to learn not and accept, because when we get to the test, we're going to know what to do. We're learning skills. You are absolutely right. They are hard. They're hard. That's why we keep practicing, because we're going to get it. Okay. Sheena.
Knew I was next.
You're just
Oh.
in order on my page, okay? And none personal. It's just
A member tells the group, I'm sorry, a member tells the group, I used to think depression defined me, but now I see it's just a story I can reauthor. Peers respond with encouragement. Which curative factor is not highlighted here? So this group member realizes that he or she can rewrite their story. That depression does not define them. So would it be existential awareness, narrative reauthoring, cohesive through peer validation, or altruism? So which one is not highlighted here? So the one that is highlighted here, I want to say B.
okay.
So cancel that out.
What theory are they talking about?
Would it be narrative?
It would be. It would be. Okay, so let's go back to the question.
So which curative factor is not highlighted here? Oh, sorry. So narrative is highlighted here.
Okay.
So do not cross out B.
Okay, so the group tells the member, I used to think depression defined me. Now I see it's just a story that I can reauthor. Peers respond with encouragement. Okay, so which of these are curative factors?
Curative factors. C.
C is a curative factor. Absolutely. What else is a curative factor?
Doctor, she had already said B was out.
Excuse me, I'm teaching this test, not you. Back it up. Okay. Keep going. What else is a curative factor?
I want to say altruism
is a curative factor. Now I'm between A and B. What? Which one of these is not a curative factor? Go back to the question.
Is it B?
It is. How do I know that?
Because it's
what words in the question?
The reauthoring, the rewriting.
Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it's narrative family therapy or narrative therapy in a group session. The question told me. So I know that my answer is going to be B.
It's that.
Okay. So hold on, Edna. I need to keep you in your lane, girl. I know she marked out B, but we wasn't going there. We're going to let her keep trying before we work it out. Okay, now tell me how we struggle.
So it's the thing is, I was like, okay, I knew it was narrative.
Got it.
But it's like Kia keeps saying, it's the not. So I have to remember that.
So what I said to you is let's talk about which ones are curative factors.
Right.
Okay, so which curative factor is not highlighted here?
Right. Okay.
So C and D are curative factors, right?
Right. So I just have to remember that to cross out what is.
That's what I'm trying to teach you. What is true? When I have a not question, I start with what is true.
Right. Okay. That's what I have to keep in my mind.
I think I've said that like 12 times in the last hour. Did everybody say that?
You did.
Okay, I'm just saying. And you're going to watch this video 15 times because you're not going to learn a new skill unless you practice it. right? So that's the goal is keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. That's how we learn anything. Okay. And then do you want to process that?
So what about A, doctor? I'm
Is
not saying that was the
A-
answer. I'm just saying, and what about A?
Is A is existentialism a curative factor?
No.
Yes, it is. That's one of Yalom's curative factors. He's an existentialist. So when we talk about, let me pull them up for you.
I know the existential, well, let me just go back to my book.
So Dr. Pam, would that be an example of, because I'm trying to connect everything, blocking?
No.
No, I'm saying as I was going through the question and you redirected, so what would that have been? Or would that have been
What I did or what you
yeah,
did?
what you
Help
did
me.
as a counselor? No, what you did. I mean, as the
So when I said something to Edna, give me
Yeah.
specifically.
what that yes, when you redirected
Yes,
Edna,
that
what-
was blocking. That was yes, that exactly was blocking. And not that she was talking too much. I just wanted you to process in your head. And yes, she was absolutely right. She was absolutely right. You told me to take it out. I just ignored you. Okay, so these are Yalom's curative factors. Okay, are we good with those? So I think that you Edna, maybe forgot that existentialism is a curative factor. Could that be?
Well, I know, like, for the existentialism, that's who am I, why am I here? I do know that. Perhaps I just need to go through the curative factors again.
So part of it, and so the last one on there is existential factors. So in the book, it talks about the three existentialism. And I say, don't worry about Rollo May. We're going to see Viktor Frankl, right? He talks about logotherapy. He's one of the Nazi concentration camp. And the time that we'll see Yalom is when he does it in his group. Okay, so that makes sense of why that. So all three of those were curative factors.
That makes sense to me now, because I was like, why is it? But when you showed that, I said, okay, she right. Island was character factor.
I don't make it up as I go along. I swear, Yalom and I are, no, we ain't that tight. Okay, you've got the look of confusion on your face, Tamika. Talk to me.
Dr.
Tamika?
P, can you, it says 11, but in the chat, it only says 10. It only shows.
I'm actually trying to create an image to put an image in there. So give me a second.
No problem.
Oh, yes, I was on mute. That's what I was gonna say. That was confusing to me.
I will though. Hold on. Okay, so I am with you, Kia.
A member says 2 months ago, I could barely get out of bed. Now I can cook dinner 3 times a week. It's small, but it's progress. Other members nod, encourage. This reflects several curative factors, but not. but not.
What do we do first?
Highlight the ones that are.
Very good.
I'm tickling myself. The ones that are curative factors. Okay. Universality is a curative factor, and installation of hope are curative factors. So eliminating those.
Did I put it in the chat box?
What?
I think I just put it in the chat box. I didn't put it on the screen, did I?
Okay. So we are highlighting the ones that are, right?
Got it. Which are true.
Which are curative factors. Which are curative factors is catharsis. Am I saying that right? Catharsis.
What is that? It's considered an emotional release. It's a Freudian term, okay, but it is used in group. So it's an emotional release, a purge. One of the other things you might see is abreaction. It's an unconscious just release of pent-up energy. Most often it's a cry or a moan. I often refer to it as an orgasm. Sometimes there's just not new words, just some okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lying. Okay.
Dr. Pam.
Will you forget that?
No.
Thank you. That's the whole point. You will not forget that catharsis is.
Yes. Catharsis.
Thank you very much. I don't recall that Dr. Rosenthal ever described it that way. I want you to never forget that.
So emotional release. So catharsis, universality, and installation of hope are curative factors.
Okay.
So the answer would be B, which is highlighting small successes, which it says it's small, but it's progress.
So I'm going to take it further. Which theory would say that?
Which one?
That the importance of small successes. Which theoretical orientation I'm going forward. I'm going to focus on even the small changes.
It's a source of B.
Nope.
No.
Well, there's a B in there.
There's a B in there.
Somebody help her out.
Please.
Is it the lady Magner?
No,
I'm saying her name
that's
wrong.
solution focused.
Ah, dang it. I'm wrong.
So what would it be? Solution focus, you say?
Solution focus. Solution focus is if you woke up in the morning and a miracle happened, what would it look like? And they say that any small progress is still progress. It's the one that does not include, right, all of the, it does not, it doesn't focus on the problem, it focuses on the solution. Okay, so when we're ready to take the test, we can do things like that. We can know who that belongs to. Do you get that when you're on the test and you may have skipped a question and then you go back to this question and you realize this is not the right answer. Oh, but that belongs to solution focus. I get to go back to the question in the first 100 and change it. Does that make sense? Like, oh yeah, I remember that in the beginning, but now I remember. Okay. Okay, I think this is Shadia.
All right. Our memory says, I never realized how my sarcasm pushes people away until you all told me. Now I'm working to change it. The most direct reflect interpersonal learning, which in fun would not apply. So the question is asking, right, what the member is saying, they realize that, not how they not being sarcastic push people away, until they start changing. So we're looking for interpersonal learning, right?
Which means?
Which means interpersonal learning means it's not intra, which deals with the self. Inter means deal with everybody else, social learning. I'm gonna say social
Dang,
learning if that
dang,
helps.
dang, dang.
So to get to the answers. A, awareness of impact on others. B, corrective feedback in the here and now. C, opportunity to practice new responses. D, universally of shared anxiety. So, like I said, interpersonal deals with social learning. So, and it says which one would not apply to it, right? So A is out of the question and D is out of the question. And now we got B and C. So corrective feedback in the here and now and opportunities to practice new response. So like it says, the question is which one would not apply to it, right? I'm thinking it's B. Corrective feedback in the here and now.
I mean, why?
Well, that I'm working to change it, that does not involve with the here and now.
So the others are really based on helping me with other people, right? The here and now is just about me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's exactly the right answer. Very good.
Hey, look, I remember that in one of your vendor videos. Intra means you deal with yourself. Inter deals with social.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So hold on. So let's stay there. There's a term called masturbations. What does that mean?
I shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's the shoulda,
Very
coulda, woulda.
good. And what theory does it belong to?
Masturbation,
Mm-hmm.
REBT.
Yeah, look at you. Look at you. See, I know some keywords that's going to get your attention that you're going to remember.
Hey, Dr. Pam, I was trying to do the accommodations for the test, and I was trying to get like more breaks. Do I have to go about it? Because
So
I
when
know.
you ask for the 2 extra hours and the breaks are on you. The clock is not going to stop except for that 15 minutes.
Okay. So with the extra break, they said they want some type of paperwork showing it, but like, can I go to my doctor and ask for it or something like that?
So
That's what
did
I
you
was trying to
ask
figure
for
out.
extra time or extra breaks?
It was either one.
Okay.
I
So what
actually
I want
want
you to
extra
get is
time.
extra time, and the breaks are included. The clock just doesn't stop. You can take a break whenever you need to, but the clock is not going to stop. That's why you have extra time.
Okay.
Okay. But you might want to add in there, you got some low blood sugar, you got some, I just get hungry when I'm upset. I don't know, some reason of why you need the extra time. But the extra time includes the extra breaks. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do I need some documents to prove it? Because it was saying.
Yes, you have to have
might
something
need.
from the doctor that you need the extra time.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I say that I'm an old lady and I have to, pee 12 times. You can say in general as anxiety disorder. You can say ADHD. You don't have to have a diagnosis. You just have to have the symptoms.
Okay, cool. That's all I need to know. Because I'm going to use ADD for real.
Okay, as
I
long as
can't
your
sit
doctor
for 2
signs off
hours.
on it. And I'd be up in my medicine too, just saying. Okay. There we go. That's for sure to back. Okay, did I get this one? Okay. Okay, that's pretty easy. It's the same kind of thing. Somebody take that. Wait, I have to sign for it. Okay. Joe, take this one.
A member shares shame about relapse. Instead of advice, a peer responds with empathy. You're still worthy here. Which factor is not central? All right. So again, with the not question, so we're going to go through and determine what are. Instead of advice, the peer responds with empathy about this peer's shared relapse. Okay. So we're looking at either cohesion, universality, unconditional positive regard, or imitative behavior. This behavior does show cohesion. So we're going to eliminate A. It also shows universality. So we'll eliminate B as well. I believe that the one is not central is imitative behavior, because there's nothing imitative here. They're responding with empathy.
So, what was your answer?
That not central, imitative behavior.
Okay. So read the question again. So which factor
Okay.
is not central?
Mhm.
So what theory are we talking about?
Share shame about relapse.
You're right. Just tell me what theory we're talking about. How do I know?
Well, I was gonna say, I know we're looking the cohesion and universality. I know we're talking about Yalom's 11 there.
Go back to the question. Could there be a little bit more in that question?
More because instead of advice, the peer responds with empathy.
How about the fact that if it says empathy, what theorist would that come across with?
Person-centered, unconditional positive regard. Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're trying to measure.
Okay. So then C obviously would still be would not be the answer because it is part of it as well, the unconditional positive regard of the person-centered approach. So D, I'm still saying is the one that's not central.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you got the question. Do you understand what it's asking me?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so when it went into the peers respond with empathy, that kind of made me think of Carl Rogers, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then if I'm looking at which one doesn't belong, so how about imitative behavior? Where did that come from?
That's with the family where is it Mnuchin? He mimics.
He does, but that's also Gestalt. That's also
That's
one of
true.
his curative
Yeah,
factors.
that's true.
Okay, so D is my best answer. I'm going to process that a bit. Want to talk out loud? Want to have some about the previous questions?
Can you put that into the chat, the breakdowns of these things?
Okay, so let's process. How did we get here? Kathy, why do you think D is the best answer?
I'm lost, to be honest.
Okay, so let's go back to the question. A member shares about relapse. Instead of advice, peers respond with empathy. They state you're still worthy here. Which factor is not central? Does it say which curative factor is not central? So
No.
the key to question was to get in the question that it was a Carl Rogers question. So Carl Rogers, it doesn't say Yalom's curative factors. It just says which of these factors is not central. Do you see anything in the question about imitating anybody's behavior?
No.
Do we see how that makes sense? Do we see how that's hard and you think they're out to trick you and they're not? No, you don't. You are like Dr. Pam, you just made this stuff up yesterday. So we were talking about curative factors. In the question, I would have been looking for curative factors. It doesn't ask me the curative factors. It asked me which factor of group, which factor of any theory is not central. Do you see anything in the question where anybody is imitating anybody's behavior?
No, not imitating behavior.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap you up, guys, a little bit. I'm gonna give you a couple more questions. Okay, so I'm purposely trying to write them a little more difficult so you're not so freaked out when you get to the test. I want to teach you how to read the questions because one little word like that changes it. And when you saw that, you automatically went to curative factors, but it didn't say that. Okay. Okie dokie. Joe, take another one.
Okay. Let me see. Sorry, I've got to zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
During an advanced stage of a group, members began to integrate feedback, test new behaviors, and anticipate separation. This stage most resembles. All right, so we're looking at what stage the group is now in based on the information we've been given about what they're doing, integrating feedback, testing new behaviors, and anticipate separation. So we're looking at consolidation and termination, initial trust building, norm clarification, and pseudo intimacy. All right, so we're going to get rid of the initial trust building because it says they're beginning to anticipate separation. So they're clearly farther along in the group than the initial stages.
Okay.
Same reason for norm clarification, because that's toward the kind of beginning middle of the group. Our norms are being tested, and if they're, if they're integrating feedback, then we're not clarifying those norms anymore.
What's my answer?
A, consolidation and termination.
Ding, ding, ding. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. Anybody struggle with that one? Okay, I'm going to send you some questions. Just give me a second. Okay, we're going to go on to careers next week. We're not going to leave what we have. We're always going to come back to them. How's the study group going?
Hit and miss some weeks.
Okay. And so if we can't find a whole group to study with, we at least need a partner to study with. We've got to have someone hold us accountable. Okay, so the assumption is next week you would have gone over the group videos. Come back if you have any questions for me on the groups we went over, and then also start studying careers. Okay, so the goal is if you don't put in the hours during the week, you're wasting your time on the weekends, because my goal is to teach you more after what you've already studied. If you get the basics, if you watch the videos, if you watch these videos, you get the basics. And then I can teach you what it looks like in a question.
I have a question regarding
Uh-huh.
in the Helwick book, it starts talking about Moreno, Waldo,
I'm
and
going to talk about Moreno, but not Waldo. Moreno is the theater of spontaneity.
yes.
So the goal is, it would tell me what's the protagonist and the agonist.
Okay. So my question is, after
Hold on. Can you tell me? Can you tell me that?
oh, what? Say it again. What's the question?
The protagonist and the agonist.
What about
Tell me
it?
about that theory.
So
Okay, I'm going to keep talking then. Okay, so
Yeah.
then what we know is so this is a theater of spontaneity. So I come to group every week, and every week I've been telling you how awful my partner is. Oh my God, he is the worst ever. Blah, 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 blah. So what happened is I'm the protagonist. I'm the one with the problem. So what I'm going to do is I am going to say to you, the leader is going to get up and say, can someone act out what they've heard Pam say? Okay, so someone's going to get up and they're going to act out me. Somebody is also going to get up and act out what they've heard me say about my the antagonist, the person who is antagonizing me. Okay, does that make sense?
yes.
Okay, so the protagonist is me, the one with the problems. The antagonist is the one that, hold on, I'm trying to do two things at once. NCE, student bundle, instructor bundle. Okay. One second, I'm just trying to put this in your chat box. Okay, so I sent you questions. There's answers and questions, and I can throw in some questions on Jacob Moreno. So again, the goal is that I understand that it's the theater of spontaneity. I'm sitting here and people have heard me complain every week about me, how awful my life is. So two people get up, they act out what they've heard me say, and it's like watching myself on stage.
So my question was,
Mhm.
is in the book it talks about person-centered, Gestalt group, it talks about all these different types of groups.
Absolutely. So those are the questions that I gave you as well. So remember, if I'm a Gestalt person, I still do the same things in group. I'm still going to look at that empty chair technique in group.
So it's important to know those, like to study hard those.
Absolutely. So you should have already known those, right? Because we already have gone over the theories. Remember, we'll see the same theories in families and groups. So if I'm narrative, I'm narrative, I'm narrative. So the questions we had before, when you had to pick out the theory in the question, that's what that's about. So yes, if you want to go over those again, feel free to. But remember, if I'm a Freudian no matter what. Does that help at all?
Yes.
Okay. And I did throw a couple, and I only did a couple today, but in the questions I gave you, I did throw a couple of in there also. So you see what it looks like based on that person.
Before we leave, the number 11 on the curator factors, could you add the breakdown to that? Because it stopped at 10.
On the drawing,
No, so you had the first Yalom's a breakdown of Yalom's 11 curator factors. When you copied it over, it only went to 10. It didn't break down number
on
11,
the image or on the actual paper?
the actual note.
Okay, so hold on.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
While Dr. Pam is doing that, I know Joe has to go, but as a group, we're from what I understand, there's only one group meeting, and that's on Wednesday, unless there's another. Is there another group that is meeting as well on other days that we don't know about, or we need to update or something? Anybody? Okay, so it's just a Wednesday group. Okay, gotcha.
If that's not working, then just create a different group. A lot of my clients meet twice a week. Those are the ones that we have the excellent.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. So
I had
Wednesdays
that several times.
sporadic, but Fridays is our second day, and that's a tough one. But Wednesdays have been on and off, but those who meet, we study.
I feel like we've been meeting Wednesdays. Well, I know, like I said, we have, but we've tried to do other days. I don't know what's happening though.
I'll be very honest with you. I don't care. I just know that we have better results when you have someone to hold you accountable. I think the group gets to cohesion a lot faster when you meet without me, and you're more willing to answer questions and to take risk when you know people. So at this point, we're still in the storming stage. We haven't really. We're not afraid to. We're afraid to take risk in this group. We don't want to get the answer wrong because we still care about what other people think of us. Okay, and that's not where I want to be, because in order to the group talks, the world talks about microcosm. Group is that microcosm of the real world. And the real world is learning to take chances and learning to be brave and trusting the people that are in the group. And you guys aren't there yet.
I would agree with that, because meeting on Wednesdays, I would say today is the most comfortable I've been with answering questions. And like, even when we were discussing when you walked out, I'm normally quiet. So I definitely see the benefit from Wednesday.
And again, this needs to be the most important thing in your entire life until you pass. So if that means I need to move some clients, if that means I need to do something different, it's okay. We're not asking forever. We're just making this a priority. If you do it, you're going to get half a results. Let's face fact. It's the most important thing for 90 days. Okay. And what I really want to spend time on is teaching you the vagueness of the questions. Okay. So if you learn content, then we can go and learn these not questions over and over and over again. Okay. So do you see I put that document on Yalom's, all the curative factors, more information on him, because he still is an existentialist. He's still in the same category as Viktor Frankl. Okay, dokie, guys, we are going to go to careers next week. We can't leave this. Always come back and ask you questions over and over again. Okay. But The goal is as you learn content, don't just learn storming, forming, norming. It's not going to help you. You need to learn what happens in each one of those stages. So when I present a question with vague, you can understand it. Okay? Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. Push some people out your way, off your plate, so you can find time to study because you are worth it. Okay? Bye.
Bye, guys. See you Wednesday.